I'll recognize myself for 5 minutes for questioning. And the National Academy's Pathways report from 2014 included a sand chart that depicted the notional budget for exploration. So I would ask that you wouldn't mind, please pull up that chart. Thank you very much. The chart broke down funding for the ISS, for the SLS, Orion, as well as exploration technology and research. And the chart visualizes how, without significant increases to the exploration budget, the development of any new projects going forth would be delayed in order to accommodate the continued operation of the ISS on to 2028. Last March, this subcommittee held a hearing on the plans for the ISS after 2024. And at the hearing, we heard testimony about how slight increases to the exploration budget have allowed for some bit of flexibility to these projections. So I'd ask you to pull up the second chart, if you would. Turn this thing on. There we go. NASA's exploration budget request for FY19 is $10.5 billion, and while this is considerably more than was envisioned in the Pathways report, that $10.5 billion now includes approximately $1 billion in activities previously funded under the Space Technology Mission Directorate. And so let's assume that budget caps are not lifted significantly in the future. If the ISS is extended past the current authorized date of 2024, what new projects will be delayed? And would the Lunar Orbital Platform, or the Gateway, be delayed? Would it prevent the start of a human lunar excursion vehicle development until after the 2030s?
Well, I think if you look at the budget request we have, and where we're proposing to eliminate government funding for the ISS in 2025.
Right.
That's our intent, is to get, so we don't have to fund that in the future. And so the total program, though, when you look at it, what we want to do is work the Mars vicinity. We want to get the platform built. We want to build these robotic landers to and from the moon. While it's not a perfect transition from what we're doing in low Earth orbit, there's not like a switch we're going to flip and magically go there, right? What we want to use now this year, this budget year, is to go determine what are the commercial capabilities that would allow us to fill the gap that you show on your chart after 2024. What capabilities are going to be there? So you're going to see a series of announcements from us. We're trying to stimulate that with $150 million in this 2019 budget, and roughly, if in the out years, that would be $900 million over time, to see who can fill that slot, so we can move on and build those gateway pieces. Okay. That's the way we're looking at it.
Okay, thank you. And then second, if NASA transitions low Earth orbit operations to the private sector, how will NASA preserve the unique expertise and capabilities related to mission operations, program management, systems integration, including habitat, and astronaut training, among other core competencies that reside at Johnson Space Center? Is there a long-term strategic plan that clearly delineates core center roles? And for the past several years, every time we've asked headquarters, the answer has been we need to wait and see. So what say you about that?
Yeah, we've spent quite a bit of time in the last 2 or 3 years defining center roles and what the roles are. And of course, JSC, Johnson Space Center, has those roles that you described. We believe those roles continue as we move into the lunar platform. And we also, one of the other things we want to learn from the request for the commercial folks this upcoming year is what capabilities they want to depend on. Because mission operations, astronaut training, those are things we can offer and get reimbursed for as we move forward.
Okay, thank you. A backup plan for commercial crew. When the commercial crew partners experienced delays 2 years ago, NASA was able to maintain U.S. access to the station through the purchase of additional Soyuz seats through Boeing as a result of their sea launch settlement. Additional delays announced at their hearing earlier this year once again threatened U.S. access to the ISS. There are no more Soyuz seats to buy. Is NASA considering accepting additional risk by flying U.S. astronauts on commercial crew test flights? And if additional delays occur this spring, which is not out of the question, given the complexity of work over the next several weeks, is this risky option off the table? And are we in a position that we may need to scale back crew on the ISS? Will we have to front-load our agreement with the Russians to maintain a steady crew in the near term, which will end up costing us more in the out years to accommodate their cosmonauts on commercial providers? I know I'm trying to get these questions in before I run out, so if you could answer some of those, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, so in the spirit of time here, we are looking at several options along that line.
Right.
I can tell you that we're working with the Russians, we're working with our commercial partners, but we maintain, we're still confident our commercial providers are going to provide us the capability we need, and we're just looking at contingencies in case that happens. What I would offer is our teams can come up and brief you on the different options we're looking at some point, brief your staff on that.
Okay, great, that's good. And I'm out of time, so I'd like to recognize Mr. Barrow now.